Well, now it is time to send you guys down to Dexter's Diner for a brand new segment, Diner Talk.
Welcome to Diner Talk. In this segment, me and Mark are down here in Dexter's Diner, as you can see. And in this segment, we will be just having a nice discussion about things within Star Wars that are relevant at the time. This time around, we are going to be talking about Ahsoka, specifically episodes 1, 2, and 3. At the time you're seeing this, episode 4 is out. I hope it's great. Hope you enjoy it. But this discussion is about 1, 2, and 3. We have a combined 6 topics/bullet points to kind of nail down on and talk about as we're down here today. Again, thank you, Dex. Thank you for letting us be here, man.
You're the man. Sure, no problem.
But we'll just get right ahead into this discussion. So, our first topic for today is Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship. Specifically talking about the master and apprentice dynamic. That was literally the name of the first episode. They're definitely copying the Galactic Core, by the way.
100%.
I think it's interesting for them to go ahead and try to make Sabine a Padawan. I know there is, we're kind of hinting toward her possibly being able to use the Force. She's nowhere close to it yet. But I feel like them, throwing in the little bits of her training to use the Force now within the third episode, I feel like they're either going to not do it at all, or they're gonna go fully into it and make her like crazy.
Yeah, like there's no in between here.
I would definitely prefer if she wasn't Force sensitive.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think she needs to be. Not that I'd be mad if she was, but it's just not necessary for her story. I think. It is cool. It was cool to see her use Ezra's lightsaber. We saw her and Shin in that little bit of a duel, if you want to call it a duel. Something interesting that I saw pointed out was we in our reaction video, we both noticed Sabine using like the Luke pose, which is kind of the learning form of lightsaber combat. And Shin also used it, which I didn't notice for some reason. So that also kind of shows that Shin is early in her training as well. So that's cool to think about. I have a couple of things written down here about like Ahsoka being hesitant to kind of teach Sabine.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to see or don't really have a whole lot of background on what happened between Rebels and this. So we don't know like what the training extent was and why the training even happened. Which I thought was pretty interesting, and maybe we'll dive into that later in the season and see Sabine's actual reasons for wanting to at least be like try to become a Jedi, essentially. What were your thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, at first I'm like, what? Like, that was the first question that popped in my head. Like, what? Master and apprentice? I'm like, are they really going to do this? But now I'm not too sure. They're hinting at it. They're teasing it. Will it happen? I don't know. I think I'm on the side where I prefer that she really like isn't Force sensitive. I think I'm leaning on that side a little bit.
Yeah,
because she really doesn't need it. Like, she's already like a great warrior as she is in her own character. You can always kind of see that she already has to have like some type of training.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's nothing advanced or anything like that, but he has had some training with Ahsoka, so it's um it's very interesting. I think, and the dynamic of master and apprentice, where the one is force sensitive and the apprentice isn't. I think that's kind of neat too, like because you don't see that. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of hope they kind of go along that track. 'Cause I think it's something um to add to the show.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to our second point, we're gonna be talking about Balin and Shin's relationship and just characters as a whole. I'm a really big fan of their characters. Like, I think it's very unique because they're not like they have a master and an apprentice, but they don't really feel 100% like Sith. Like obviously Balin
Yeah.
talks about getting Thrawn back, and then he talks about power, which he has that attribute of Sith in, but also with the way he like carries himself, and like Shin, she has that like the Padawan, like the braid or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's aspects of the Jedi there too, um, which is really like it's unique. Like I really like this. I think they're these characters have been written phenomenally so far. I have no complaints with them whatsoever. Balin is such a unique Jedi. I'm kind of interested to see more of his backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, their relationship, I think, is pretty good. It doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't. They don't feel like Sith, really. Like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, I don't think they are.
Yeah. No.
Like,
No.
they're the way I look at it, they're Jedi for hire.
Mm-hmm.
They're well, Shin wasn't a Jedi like
True.
at the time. So I think it's interesting that after the time of the Jedi, Balin brought in an apprentice. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a cool aspect of it. But
True.
yeah, they're essentially just Jedi force wielders for hire. They're mercenaries. We see that with the orange lightsabers. They're not Sith. But I would like to, know the reasoning behind that and see what that sort of entails there. But yeah, like you said, I mean, very interesting characters. Definitely Balin, I'm interested to see more of, which we know we're gonna see more of, and I do want to know why Shin was brought into it,
Yeah.
and what that sort of connection is. Okay, to go ahead into our third topic for today's Diner Talk, we're going to talk about the New Republic. Specifically, I have written down here specifically their incompetency, which we talked about a lot when we were watching through Andor with the Empire, which is a comparison I wanted to make. I think they're very similar. The New Republic is not any sort of improvement, really. It's an improvement in that they're not doing the evil stuff. Like, they're not, at least to our knowledge, they're not throwing people in prisons and forcing them to work until they die, or killing them because they are rebelling against the prison or whatever. Like, we're not seeing any sort of stuff like that. But
Yeah.
they have the same it's just not working. And they believe in it so much that they think nothing can overthrow it.
Yeah.
We see, like, in Andor, we see the Imperials are like, they don't even believe that anyone could even attempt to overthrow the Empire, or like all these rebel cells that are popping up. Oh, they're nothing. Like, we'll just send some people out there, they'll be gone. And it just doesn't work like that. And in this, Hera goes ahead, talks to Mon Mothma, Chancellor, by the way, super cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect decision too,
Oh, for
to be
100%.
Chancellor.
100%.
But the fact that they're making the same mistakes, but it's for a different reason. The senators individually are making the same mistakes as the Empire, just like dismissing stuff because they don't think it's a threat or they don't think it'll be a problem. But that's happening, and it like continues to happen because Mon Mothma can't make that executive decision. She has to make the decision based off the interest of all the people in the Senate. So it just doesn't work out like that. And I have another little note written down, like, Mon Mothma is visibly torn on it. Especially just in that interaction with Hera. She sees that this is definitely a real issue, but she's not going to be able to get it approved. It is interesting, though, that they can't... Why couldn't they just at least... This is just one of those things where it's like, it's because of the plot. But in a common sense thing, why not just send like a few fighters at least with them, or like something with them? You don't have to send the whole fleet. Mm-hmm. But that's what they were asking for the plot. But yeah, I think it's cool to see how the New Republic eventually is going to fall and the First Order rise to power, which we're going to see a lot of that with more imperial remnants, with Thrawn especially, I would assume. But yeah, let me hear your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, no, the New Republic is definitely incompetent, that's for sure. And they're completely oblivious, like you said, to the emerging threat of Thrawn. Like, they're just like, oh no, he's not there, he's gone. And but then they encounter these like loyalists that are just among them working like constantly, and they're just like, every time it happens, they're just like, huh, like that's it. Like they might question it every now and again, like, how could people be loyal to the Empire after what they did? And then they just like don't mention it again. Like, it's just so, it just amazes me how many times they've just put that issue off to the side.
Yeah.
When it needed to be addressed front and center. So yeah, the New Republic is definitely flawed. Not as flawed as the Empire was, but I mean, man, it definitely isn't the Galactic Republic, that's for sure. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, it's great that we're living here on Coruscant. It's the Galactic Core is a great place to be, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just, man, it's so... But I think it's a cool thing to see.
Oh yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. It really does.
And I really want to see that this sort of story get extended to where we actually see the First Order.
Yes,
rise to power.
That would be awesome.
But yeah, you brought up the thing about like the loyalists and how they just kind of rub it off. Because they mention in the show, they're like, oh well, you're not going to be able to stop that. There's always going to be some people out there that are still loyal to the Empire, which is true, but you can't let them bring in these super powerful leaders. Like, you can't, like, if it's a whole operation, get it shut down, but you can't. You're obviously not going to be able to stop the few people that are around, like possibly just being random terrorists around the galaxy. Like, you're not gonna be able to stop stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's impossible. But now, moving into our fourth point, one that I'm really excited about here, the Purrgil. I always thought the Purrgil were so unique ever since we had like the mention of them in Rebels, and then we actually got to see them, and kind of Ezra having like a little connection to them, reaching out and connecting with the Purrgil. It was really cool seeing the Purrgil in this, and I really like the visuals in that scene of Shin and Marok. That's his name, correct?
I think it's pronounced Merrick, but Merrick. You are correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to pronounce it, but so yeah, Merrick and Shin, and they're going after Ahsoka and Sabine, that whole scene was amazing. Seeing the Purgles and just like their size, like they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew that like from Rebels, but not seeing them, it was super cool. I'm hoping we get a little bit more of them. I don't know if we will, but seeing them in action a little bit, so to speak. But what did you think about them?
Real quick, I want to correct myself. Actually, I think we both got it wrong there. It's a combination of what we said. I believe it's Merok.
Mayrock, okay.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
I
not
think
like
that's how it's
it's
pronounced.
like there's like multiple ways of pronouncing it, so I
Yes,
wasn't sure. Okay.
which we'll actually talk about him at the end because I have some general points to talk about, and he is one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, Purgles are super sweet. Seeing them in live action was crazy. I saw some people kind of theorizing that because the idea with the Ring of Sion is that it would be a capital ship, like the Chimera, in a sense, would be in the hyperspace ring. But I saw people saying, are they gonna put a Purgle inside the Ring of Sion? But like, I
That'd
mean,
be
at that point, you
ridiculous.
don't need any hyperspace engines. Then you just use the
Nah,
Purgle.
exactly.
Uh,
No, that'd be insane.
but I mean, I think it's a cool concept to have the Purgles like they are essentially the one way to get to another galaxy.
Yeah.
Because they say in the show, if you're not a Purgle, the only way you can get to another galaxy is like you have to have precise coordinates and you have to go on the Purgle migration path or whatever. So
Yep.
it's very difficult to go to another galaxy without the Purgles. But yeah, I think it's a super cool concept to have them added in and bringing in the possibility of new galaxies. I
Yeah.
don't want to like go super heavy into new galaxies. We talked about it in one of our reactions, but I don't know. I just think there's so much still to explore within this galaxy.
Oh
You don't
yeah,
need
like
another one to just
yeah.
like, because then you're ruining like you're messing up everyone's sort of timeline knowledge
Yeah,
of
exactly. Yeah.
things. So
Yeah, no, plus you still got like the unknown regions that you haven't even touched upon yet.
mhm.
But I've seen, like people say that they don't want them to explore that
Yeah.
as much. They kind of want it to remain a mystery. So it's like if they do that, well then they're like, oh, well then we gotta. I feel like they might feel like they have to go explore other galaxies, which I don't necessarily think they have to do that either.
Mhm.
I think it's cool to know that there's other galaxies out there. But like you said, I don't really want them to go too in depth with it or make it too complicated. Like
Yeah.
I
I
like it
mean,
being the Purgle can jump, and then having like the Ring of Sion. I like that.
yeah. And I hope that the like Ezra Thrawn sort of deal is we're just going, getting them, coming back.
Exactly. That's all I want. I
That's
don't.
what I'm hoping.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So to move into the fifth point, into the fifth topic. This one is just maybe a little bit of a discussion, not too much to go about it, but animation versus live action. I wanted to bring up the discussion that people are having of should this have been animated? Should this have been like a Rebel season 5? I'm it doesn't matter to me. It would be cool for it to be animated. I'm a huge fan of the animated shows. So
yeah,
I'm not going to be against having mainly characters that were only in animation be in an animated show. It would make it much easier to connect with the characters.
yeah,
Because I have written down here like the performances from some of these new actors because it's not the voices for the most part. Because we get a new Hera, which I'm not gonna lie, I think she kind of kills it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, she definitely kills it.
I think she gets the mannerisms and everything down perfectly. The
Yeah.
look is maybe still a little bit weird,
Mhm. Yeah,
but I
a
feel like
bit.
it was always going to look like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Same with Ahsoka. The look is still a little bit weird, but I think her
Mhm.
performance is also still amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really not mad at it. We got to see Clancy Brown as Ryder.
That was,
So
dude, that was so cool, man. That
that
was
was
so
perfect.
cool.
Yeah, I think the performances are great. I also wanted to bring up Chopper and Hu Yang because I think Chopper, perfect.
Oh,
Perfect
dude,
adapt.
Chopper's,
He has the
yes.
1-to-1 adaptation from
Yes, bro.
animation to live action. Amazing.
Yes, Chopper
Perfect.
is perfect. Yep.
Could not do it better. Hu Yang, we talk about it constantly. He right now is the highlight of the show.
Yeah, no, he's hilarious, dude.
He is the perfect comedic relief
Mm-hmm.
and actually helpful, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I think seeing him from the Clone Wars to now is just, I think it's great. I would like to see how he ends up with Ahsoka. I would like to
Yes.
know how that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's not much of a discussion within me to whether this should be animation or live action because I don't mind it. Live action just makes things more appealing to a broader audience.
Yeah.
So,
Which is I think that's what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to get these characters out there.
mm-hmm.
And plus, because you're gonna have this Thrawn movie, with Filoni. I think that's another reason why they're doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's just to get it out there because Rebels is actually, in my opinion, criminally underrated, and I'm glad that there are people out there that feel the same way I do about it because I think the story is great. The animation style wasn't even I didn't even mind it, and then going from that to live action here, I haven't had any issues. Honestly, I haven't. All the actors are killing it. The adaptations are great. Obviously the looks are, you're still trying to get used to the look of
Yeah.
live action animation characters, but I mean, other than that, like the show has been great. It's been top tier for me. I'm loving it. I don't have an issue with live action or animated. I love both. As long as it's Star Wars, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna love it. That's
Yeah.
just where I stand on it. So
Yeah. So my final thoughts on it is that it's just anything live action is going to be bigger than anything animated, and that's
yeah,
kind of their goal with it. So
exactly. Well, now on to our sixth and our final point. Basically gonna be talking about the star map and the Ring of Sion. I really do like the nod to the Old Republic, Darth Sion. While it's spelled a little differently, but
mm-hmm.
it kind of gets the point across. I love the design of it. I think it's really cool, and I just the idea of it being able to travel to other galaxies as well. I know we talked about it before, but it's just something different. It's something different that we haven't seen in Star Wars. And the star map, another. I mean, it's just really cool, man. I don't really know, like, I don't have much to say on it because it's so unique that it's like I can't compare it to anything, or I can't. It's just really cool. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
It's something fresh. But
And
what do
then
you?
we got to see HK droids as well
Oh
as
yeah, the
another sort of
HK
nod as
droids.
well.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Uh, and I saw someone point this out. I wish I could actually say who it was with all these things that I keep saying. I saw them pointed out.
Yeah, you saw them.
Uh, but something I thought that was super cool that I kind of didn't notice in the moment. But in the first episode, when Ahsoka's getting the star map in that temple and the HK droids show up, they are standing eerily still, like they don't move, and it's
Hmm.
because it's a droid.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know why that didn't kind of click in my head. Like you see Ahsoka is just like she's standing ready, and like staying on her toes, like ready for
Hmm.
any sort of attack, and the droid is just dead standing, no movement whatsoever. And I think it's super cool and crazy intimidating. But to see HK droids, I thought was super cool as well as like you said, the Ring of Sion. Definitely some obvious nods to some Old Republic stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so now before we head up out of the diner here, I have just a few main sort of overarching things about it, just to maybe say a few sentences about the production quality. Obviously amazing. I didn't expect it to be this crazy.
Yeah, neither did I.
It's
I mean, it feels like a movie.
yeah, it's on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And another thing that I have is I think this show has like a classic Star Wars feel to it.
Very much.
Which is expected from a show when you see a whole lot of lightsabers. You're seeing the Force be used, which we haven't seen that in some of the recent shows. Like we don't really see it in The Mandalorian. We see it a bit with Grogu. We see the Force used a little bit, but we don't really see a lightsaber. Seeing it in Andor. Yeah, we obviously don't see it in Andor. We did see it with Kenobi, so
yeah,
that was something cool. But yeah, I think it just has that classic Star Wars feel to it. And then the comparisons to the other shows, specifically Andor, because a lot of people are saying within these 3 episodes, oh my god, this is the best live action thing that Disney has ever made. I think people are jumping to conclusions.
Oh, they're jumping way too quick to some conclusions.
Because Andor's amazing.
Andor's amazing. Mando's amazing.
And even Clone Wars Season 7 is amazing.
That was amazing too.
Bad Batch. Severely underrated.
Dude, it's basically criminal.
Yeah. And anytime someone brings up and says this is the best Star Wars thing that Disney has ever made, or the best live action Star Wars thing Disney has ever made, I'm always like, you can calm down for a second. Think about it.
Yeah,
we do still have Rogue One as live action Disney Star Wars. Like that's
true.
We gotta calm down for a second.
And that Vader scene is peak. Yeah. So
not that people can't have an opinion, but I just think let this thing breathe. Let's get to the end of the season, then let's have some discussions. That's how I feel.
That is the way I feel as well.
And then the final thing before we head out, which we mentioned earlier, Mayrock.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about this a whole lot because we feel the same about it. But so many people are trying to theorize about who it is. Me and you are kind of in the same boat that we don't think it's anyone. We just think it's a new character.
And I think it should be a new character.
Yes. I think it should just be an Inquisitor that survived and is just tagging along with the mercenaries.
I agree. Yep.
I think that's all it should be. Would I be mad if it's some sort of reveal and it's just like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it was this person? I'm not going to be like crazy mad, but it's just, I just don't think it should be anyone, really.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't agree with it, but like I wouldn't be completely outraged at it either.
And the only reason people are having these theories is because he has a mask. But don't all the Inquisitors have a mask?
They do. All
so it's like,
end up having masks.
Why does it have to be someone?
Maybe just
saying it's Ezra.
There's no way. That'd be ridiculous if it was Ezra. That would make no sense.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, what if he just doesn't want to show his face? I
exactly.
mean, if I had a mask like that, I wouldn't want to show my face. That mask is cool, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it does not have to be Starkiller.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I said I wouldn't have strong opinions about it. If it was Starkiller, I would have some strong opinions about that decision.
Yeah, I just think Starkiller just shouldn't be brought into canon.
Exactly, because
he should.
Nah, he really shouldn't, because you'd have to nerf him, and it would just take away from his character.
And completely. I think he has his perfect place, like that.
Yeah, exactly.
The Force Unleashed is the perfect spot for him. He doesn't need to be anywhere else.
I agree.
But that about wraps up the discussion here today. Again, Dex, thank you for letting us in here, man.
You're the man. Common Galactic Core W.
Thank you for that, Dex. We really appreciate that. If you want to, you could head out. We'll clean up the place for you. We'll lock up. You know you could trust us.
We got you, Dex.
But thank you guys for watching Diner Talk. Mark, thank you for the discussion down here in the diner. I know we meet down here regularly, but it's great to have you here for the segment.
Oh, no problem, man. I love hanging out in Dex's diner, just chatting it up about Star Wars, man. Nothing better.
Of course. That'll be it for our time down here in the diner. Let's go ahead and send it back up to the upper levels of Coruscant and send it back to the studio.